back to Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who is allergic to the sun, my dad, Tim.
You're the red one, not
I'm
me.
very red right now, out all weekend, and your stupid genetics have gotten me burnt.
Well, we went and played golf, but that was too early in the morning in Wisconsin to get any kind of sunburn.
I don't know, man. That sun sneaks up on you at any time of day. But we did go and play golf. It was our first round of the year after being rained out the week before. And I got to tell you, I got a new putter. And I watched the U.S. Open and saw the putter Bryson DeChambeau was using. And always my wrist bends. Like when I have a putter, I can't help it. So I'm like, hey, maybe this will fix it. I sunk two 30-foot putts.
You did.
We were out there.
You did. I was very impressed.
I've never done that on purpose before.
My game is beyond rusty. We played with a really good, really cool guy. We just ended up meeting him there. What did he say his job was?
Something.
He did something with heart surgeries.
Yes. Not the doctor,
No,
but
he was
something with the
monitoring-
equipment.
Yeah, with the machines. Really cool guy and really good golfer.
Very good golfer. But the funny thing is, and this is a reminder for me, is he wasn't doing anything special. It was just a nice, easy swing. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me the goal is to get it in the hole in the least amount of shots possible. I don't have to hit it 300 yards. I can just swing. And when I did that towards the end, I was playing really good golf.
You know my frustration? I always hit a fade. I am hooking everything now.
Well, because, and this is a tip for any old guy like him.
I'm not old.
That's going through, something called age, and I call it falling apart. You got to swing different, man. And you were trying to overcompensate. The problem is you're trying to get distance and you're overcompensating. And by the end, you were literally with your shot standing straight towards the hole instead of a normal swing.
It was frustrating.
It was funny to watch because I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, I don't know.
I didn't know.
No idea what's happening. But the last hole you played well.
Yeah. I lost one in the middle of the fairway again.
You did.
No idea how that happened.
Happens all the time. The golf course we go to, that happens. And you let us know in the comments below if this happens to you. You hit a ball dead straight.
Yeah.
And you go to find it, and it's not there.
In this case, it was a second shot. I hit a good drive, and it was a shot into the green.
Yep.
I saw it hit right in front of the green.
I saw it too.
And it should have rolled up, and I got up there, and it was gone.
No idea what
happened to it.
You know what's really frustrating, though? And this is my fault. So last year I played with one set of irons.
Yes.
Whole time, one set. You got me some new clubs on your nighttime sleeping.
Yeah, whatever.
You didn't really get me new clubs. You got new clubs, and I said, ooh, pretty.
You confiscated.
And I confiscated the clubs. It's really difficult to have your first round of the year be with brand new clubs.
Well, and I warned you about those because they're ping clubs, and I didn't realize when I bought it, but they're more upright.
Yeah.
They're a yellow dot instead of the black dot.
Don't know what that means.
It means it's more upright.
Got it.
I don't know if you're going to like that long term.
I couldn't figure out the distance. That's what was driving me nuts. My other set of clubs, I knew the distance. These, I had no idea.
Your other set of clubs were stronger lofted. So they're going to go farther. These are more.
Well, here's the problem, though, is I had it where I'd hit what really pissed me off, and I realized this afterwards because I was hitting in the wind, but all of a sudden I'm hitting my 9-iron 120. I'm like, I haven't hit my 9-iron 120 in 4 years. And so it's driving me nuts. I'm like, okay, these are shorter clubs. And so I take a pitching wedge when I'm like 110 out. Like if I'm hitting my 120, I'll hit this pitching wedge about 110. I'll be perfect. I crush it 140, go over the green. I hate getting new clubs.
So I think it probably means that it's really not the club, it's you.
Which definitely makes sense. But we have other sports topics to get into today. But you let us know what you think in the comments below about getting new clubs. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. I'm getting really excited. Erin Hills in Wisconsin, around where we are. The Women's U.S. Open is coming to town. It gets me really excited to go out and golf. We keep score one time a year, Father's Day, the Saturday of Father's Day. I hit 90 last year. I'm going to try and break 90 this year.
Well, and Erin Hills is literally like 10 minutes away from where we live.
Not far.
Not far at all.
Tried to get on the course afterwards. Not paying that.
Not going to pay that.
Not going to do it.
I would like to go there because I'd like to evaluate Erin Hills.
Yes.
I mean, Wisconsin is so blessed. They've got Erin Hills. They've got places like the Bog, which is a Arnold Palmer course, and the Jack Nicklaus course.
The Bull.
And then they have Kohler.
Yeah.
River and Meadow and Irish and Whistling Straits. Just a mecca. And don't forget, they've got Sand Hills up in north central Wisconsin. Nakusa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they got a big one in Rome. I forget the name of it, but it's a really big course in Rome, Wisconsin.
I mean, Wisconsin is a golf mecca. I'd put it up. I think it's better than Florida.
And don't forget, you're getting a TPC in Madison now.
That's right. The old Cherokee.
And University Ridge is there as well.
University Ridge is outstanding. Hawks Landing is also outstanding over there. I played the course, which is now a TPC. It was Cherokee back in the day.
Yep.
I played tennis there a lot, but I also played that golf course a lot. They had to change that. Stricker did the remodel. It's going to be interesting to see the senior championship, American Family Championship will be there in 2 weeks. And it should be fun to see the course.
It's been surprising me that Madison allowed the TPC, and it shows you how much Madison has changed because they were so protective of University Ridge that they've tried to build courses there before, and Madison wouldn't allow it because University Ridge is the course. So it's interesting to see that kind of shift. I'm surprised the Dells hasn't gotten something like this. You and I talked about that on a previous show. I always thought the Dells would get one. But people travel from all over the world to come to Wisconsin to golf.
As they should. I mean, the golf is spectacular. The weather for the summer and the fall is spectacular.
Yeah.
Can it be hot sometimes? Of course. But it could also be 80 degrees and sunny and a light breeze.
In Wisconsin, that's hot, man.
That is hot. But I remember University Ridge, they've got their own lawn turf center over there.
Right.
And John Paulus, our tennis coach, we've talked about him several times, used to go over there and play on they'd set up a grass tennis court for him to help him get ready for Wimbledon. Until somebody out of the blue just bitched because they wanted to bitch.
Right.
And it's like, why are they doing it for him? Because he's a Madison icon. He's the greatest tennis player of his age in the world.
Yeah.
Let him do it.
Right.
And these people are going, well, I should be able to do it too. No, you shouldn't. No.
Win 16 U.S. Opens in a row on the senior tour in tennis, and then you can get your own.
That was 15. He was going for 16.
That's right. He was going for 16.
Don't want to talk about it.
You blew out his knee.
Don't want to talk about it.
By hitting him with a tennis ball 2
Yeah.
weeks before the tournament.
And you did it like 5 years later. And he just decided.
It was a little bit more than 5 years, but it was definitely the same knee. And such a nice guy. He goes, you Carney boys in this knee, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Anyways.
But we got to get back to this. But check out, by the way, Wisconsin's such a flyover state. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah,
but you don't need to move here.
If you're a golfer.
Well, we know one we forgot, though.
Lasonia
we forgot. Okay, 2 we forgot. Brown Deer, which is
Deer's
Tiger
here.
Woods' first ever professional tournament.
Yes. And I will say this as well about Milwaukee County courses.
Best county courses in the country.
They're some of the best I've ever played. I mean, the county courses here are spectacular. We play Drexel a lot. We're going to be playing in Washington County too, which will be interesting. But with golf in Wisconsin, if you are a golfer and you've never come to Wisconsin to play, you're missing. You're hurting yourself.
Yeah,
you need to come out here and try this.
Well, in Brown Deer county course.
Yeah,
it is a Milwaukee County course.
What is it, like $50-$60, whatever it was?
18. Yeah. It's not a lot at all. But we have other things to talk about, especially when it comes to football. So I had a question for you. There's a lot of talk of Aaron Rodgers.
We're a little early for this, aren't we?
We are, but it's an interesting question because people are reporting to OTAs, and I wanted to know your opinion on this because obviously I have mine. I always do. But sometimes I like to hear yours. And on this one, I wanted to know what you thought about these three teams, especially when it comes to the quarterback position and who the week one starter is going to be.
Okay.
And so I wanted to start here because this is one that I don't know. and I don't know that many people care, but it is the New Orleans Saints.
Nobody that's on their team right now
Really?
will be the starter.
Really?
I still think it'll be they. I mean, what do they have? Tyler Shaw,
Shook.
Shook.
I think is how you pronounce this.
Spencer Rattler. There's nobody on there.
Jake Hayner's there too.
There's nobody there. So
and Hunter Deckers.
I still think they go out and try to talk and work a deal to get Kirk Cousins over there.
That's the big question. So I learned this today, is that if you trade somebody after June 1st, you can, just like a June 1st cut, break up the amount that's on your salary cap over a couple of years, which makes a lot of sense why Kirk Cousins hasn't been traded yet like we thought he would. Do you think that the Saints are going to make a play for him? And what are they going to give up?
Draft picks. It'll be
what draft pick, though?
6th round. I mean,
that's what I'm thinking, too.
They're going to have, the only thing that'll be hard for them is they're in the same division as Atlanta.
Right.
You never want to trade within your division usually. But in this case, Atlanta's got their quarterback of the future. Penix is going to be there. He's their guy. So Cousins expendable. They're not going to keep a $100 million quarterback on the roster. I think the Saints will end up with him.
I think it's going to be a little bit more of compensation because I think the Falcons are going to have to eat a majority of that contract.
Maybe because
I can see the Falcons keeping him though
as a backup.
Penix has an injury history.
I just don't. Maybe they will, but I don't see it. I mean, Cousins really had a hard time because of his Achilles injury last year. He's another year past it. I think he'll be a better version of himself again.
I agree.
But I just don't think he's going to be on Atlanta.
I think they're going to go with the rookie. I think Tyler Shook is your starter. I really do. Maybe Spencer Rattler opening day, but it is Tyler Shook's to win. But I could see Kirk Cousins. So you think that it's going to be somebody not on the roster right now?
Correct.
All right. Now let's go on to one because it's another one where it could be a quarterback not currently on the roster in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is going to be their opening day quarterback.
Apparently, he's still in talks with Minnesota. That just came out today. There are still talks going on with the Minnesota Vikings.
If I'm Minnesota, it makes too much sense not to go and get him. You've got 1 year. It's a 1-year run.
That's all it is.
They must be seeing something in OTAs with McCarthy they're not in love with if they're talking to him again.
Well, and I think that's why Rodgers is waiting as well. Rodgers is waiting as well because he wants to see what the Vikings think of J.J. McCarthy.
That's where he wants to go.
Why wouldn't he want to go
That is
there?
the best place for him. It's the most win-ready team. They've got the best chance of all the teams we're going to be talking about to get to the Super Bowl. They've got Aaron Jones. They've got Jefferson. They've got all the receivers.
Yeah.
They've got a defense better than almost anybody.
Well, a defensive coordinator better than anybody. Let's not talk.
Flores is great.
Talent. It's the perfect fit. It's the perfect fit. And let's also not forget that Brett Favre didn't show up till right before training camp.
Well, they had to send a private plane for him. They went and got him. And they flew him back.
After he don't forget, he showed up to training camp in Green Bay. So really, he wasn't in Minnesota until a couple of weeks after training camp began.
But he played there in the second year he was in Minnesota.
Oh, that's right. He showed up to training camp and then went to the Jets and then retired and then didn't show up till training camp. That's what it was. I'm mixing the two.
It's easy to do. But the only reason I don't want him to go to Minnesota is because you will be insufferable.
I'm insufferable anyway.
Yeah, but it'll be even worse.
So I might as well get what I've been saying is going to happen for 2 years.
So if he doesn't go there, I think he's going to be in Pittsburgh with Mason Rudolph as your backup.
Mason Rudolph, I think, is the week 1 starter right now with the roster they have, with Will Howard as a very close second. If Rodgers does not go to Pittsburgh, Will Howard is your starter by the end of the year.
Only out of desperation because Will Howard is not going to be a good quarterback in this league.
Or it becomes a Kirk Cousins position.
Well, again, there's another team he could go to.
I still could see Kirk Cousins back in Minnesota.
I don't think that happens. I think that bridge has been burned.
Why? He just left in free agency.
I know. But they made it clear they didn't want him then. I can't see them wanting him now. Pittsburgh would make sense for him as well.
Time heals all wounds, my friend.
I thought it was time wounds all heals.
That also works. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Anyways, what's the other team you were talking about?
Well, I do want to make this clear again, by the way, is no matter what team Rodgers goes to, he's wearing number 4.
He's not wearing number 4.
You go down from 12 to 8 to 8 to 4, 4, you're retired. He's going to wear 4. He
No,
has
he's
to wear
not.
4. The third team, and this is what's really interesting, because it could be a number of different people.
No, it's not.
The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Flacco's going to start.
I do think Flacco starts the season.
And by week 10-ish, it'll be Shedeur Sanders.
Really?
Yes.
He's going to jump Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson.
Okay. Pickett's not going to see the start of the season. He's going to be gone.
I also think that's true.
Gabriel is going to be just outplayed by Sanders. Sanders with a chip on his shoulder. He was good. He's got first-round talent to start with. I think all the circus with his dad and everything and the Legends thing on draft night just hacked people off.
Yes.
And they weren't going to, out of spite, they weren't going to draft him.
Right.
Now he's been humbled, quote unquote. He's in Cleveland. He's working his behind off. He will be their starting quarterback by midseason.
Do you think Deshaun Watson ever plays another snap
No.
in Cleveland?
I do not.
$72 million quarterback for one season, by the way.
Yeah. You don't want to bring that circus in.
The reason I don't think it's going to happen is because Haslam himself came out at the beginning of this year and said, we made a mistake.
Yes.
So the ownership is not going to get involved with this and force it to happen. I mean, just cut him. I mean, if you cut him, I don't know if you can afford your roster,
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
fair. But
they're going to pay him not to show up.
that's crazy.
Well, it's the worst signing in NFL trade and NFL history.
Yeah, the only reason it's not the worst free agency signing ever is because it wasn't a free agency signing. They had to trade for him.
Right.
And what they trade for him, like 2 or 3 first-round picks?
Way too much.
And then paid him $230 million guaranteed.
The worst signing in history.
Absolutely crazy. I agree. I think Flacco starts. I also think Kenny Pickett will be cut.
And one other thing,
I also think Shedeur is going to start by the end of the season.
The other thing I think should be a cautionary tale to every team in the NFL. Character matters.
Yeah.
Especially at quarterback. Take a look at how the guy acts off the field before you sign him to those huge contracts.
Yeah, we talked about this when the show first started. Like, I've never actively rooted against a player before in my life, but it's like, dude, this guy doesn't deserve this shot. It's too much going off the field. It's a problem.
Yes, and it's been a problem.
It's become a problem. The person I feel bad for in this locker room is Dylan Gabriel. I mean, a guy who's a third-round pick who should be really getting a shot, and I don't think he ever sees the field in Cleveland. I don't think he's ever getting a fair shot to see the field.
I don't think so either. I think he'll be a practice squad guy. Because Sanders is your backup.
Right.
First-round talent. Just slid for reasons we've discussed. But he will be, I think he'll play his way into being the starter. Flacco's only going to get you so far. He's a 40-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Best days are behind him. But he is the solidifying guy that will get you through training camp, set the tone, be a great starter for a few weeks. But they'll come to a point where he's going to have more losses than wins. Might as well cut our losses and just start Sanders.
I think the biggest question is 2 questions, I guess, for the same player. One, how long do you think Kenny Pickett makes it into training camp before he's cut? Do you think he even makes it to the first preseason game?
No. I would be surprised if he wasn't cut before training camp.
Do you think he ever gets a shot in the NFL again?
Somebody may pick him up as a backup. Hopefully a warm weather team where he can hold on to the ball. But we talked about this from the day of the draft.
Whopper Jr. hands.
We talked about it, that he was not going to be able to hold on to that, the larger NFL ball, and that has been proved out several times in his career.
Well, and that's what interests me with Jalen Milroe as well, because he's also has 8.5-inch hands, and I think you're going to run into the same problems with him that you ran into with Kenny Pickett. It's a very different size ball.
And it's harder to throw, and when it gets cold, it's impossible to throw unless you have grizzly paws.
Yeah.
Like a Rodgers or Favre or a Marino.
Well, I think Joe Burrow has the smallest hands you could possibly have to be an NFL quarterback, and that's 9-inch hands.
Does he have 9-inch nails to go with that?
Ah,
Bad joke of the
that
day.
is why you
Yeah.
are dad in this show.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another thing here.
Go ahead.
NFC North is getting very, very interesting. And I wanted to do a way too early NFC North ranking
Okay.
and where you think these teams are going to end up. Because there's a lot of interesting things going on. Because you have the Lions, whose offensive and defense coordinator are gone.
Right.
You have the Packers, who on paper should be really good. Especially with Golden being there now as your number one wide receiver. Wearing 22, by the way, which is weird to me. You have the Vikings, who, again, on paper should be good. It's a quarterback question mark. And you have the Bears with Ben Johnson as their head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Again, on paper, should be a really good team.
The Lions have 5 players, the top players under 25 in the NFL.
25 players under 25.
Lions have 5. Packers have 0.
Yes. As do the Bears.
As do the Bears.
As do the Vikings.
I think Ben Johnson is going to be the savior for Caleb Williams. He's going to make him into whatever the best version of Caleb Williams is going to be.
There was a report that came out that said Caleb Williams had to watch film on his own because the coaches were not giving him any tape to watch.
Well, then it was malpractice on the coach, and they deserve to be fired.
Like, it was in a book. I don't know how true it is, but if that is true, that is insane.
What did we say when he was drafted to the Bears? He was set up to fail.
He was trying not to get drafted by the Bears, according to this book.
I believe that.
Like, they hired lawyers to look through the players union to see if there were ways they could not play. They were debating pulling a John Elway to not play for the Bears.
Well,
as his father said, it's where quarterbacks go to die.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I mean, the last great quarterback they had was Sid Luckman in the 1940s.
Jay Cutler was really good for a while. Never threw for 4,000 yards. Threw for 3,800.
He got him to the NFC Championship game.
And then was on a bike.
And then thought it was too cold and cried. But
speaking of coaches doing quarterbacks wrong, why was he allowed out of the locker room if you weren't going to play him?
I don't know. That's
so weird.
Back. Anyways, if I'm looking at the NFC North, and it's way too early, I do think the Lions still have the best talent of any team in all of football. They're there. So as long as things don't change too drastically, they win the division again.
Yeah.
I think the Bears are going to take a huge jump. Ben Johnson is going to have the offense moving. He's going to use the weapons. He's going to protect Williams. He's going to get Williams to stop turning his back on the defense.
I don't know if you can unteach that.
He's going to do whatever he can to unteach it. I mean, Williams, for his own protection, has to stop doing that.
Yeah.
I think they finished second. If J.J. McCarthy is the Vikings quarterback, the Packers will finish third, but will not make the playoffs. If they bring in Rodgers, the Vikings will finish second. The Bears will finish third, and the Packers will just be fourth, and they will clean house at the end of the season.
You think that with Aaron Rodgers, the Vikings are finishing behind the Lions?
I still think the Lions have the most talent.
You're out of your damn mind.
Well, it's going to be real close. It could be another 11-5. It'll be 11-5, 11-5.
It'll be, I mean, the Vikings can go undefeated with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. If you get if you get one more glimpse, again, not as good as I once was, but as good once as I ever was.
If he puts it together for one season, sure, they could go 14-3. They could, and they could win the division. I still, overall, talent-wise, getting Hutchinson back, you're getting their defense back. The Lions have more talent than the Vikings.
No, they don't.
On defense?
Who has the better defensive coordinator? I have watched Brian Flores do things with an untalented defense in Minnesota that I've never seen before.
I will take the wide receivers and the running backs in Detroit and the tight end. I'm still going to
you have Laporta and Hawkinson, who are washes. You have Jefferson versus St. Brown. Jefferson wins all day
Williamson,
long. Who's barely been able to play because of injury or stupidity.
Look, we'll see what happens when they play each other. And it'll be a split if Rodgers is quarterback. It will be.
You're out of your damn mind.
No.
I think that I'm very scared. The Packers are an interesting one because they could win the division or they could finish fourth.
One of two things is going to happen. Jordan Love is going to step up and get rid of the mistakes.
Right.
And go back to what he was the second half of his first starting season, or he's down to his last 2 seasons in Green Bay.
Right.
That's going to be it, because that contract that they signed him to, the $55 million deal, it really is a 2-year contract.
It is.
And then they can cut him loose.
Right.
And they will.
Yep.
This is a very good quarterback draft coming up next year. If Love does not step up, and if LaFleur doesn't get his head out of his behind,
I also think the Packers finish fourth in division. I think they have a top 10 pick next year. There's too many question marks on this team, and it makes me really concerned.
I just don't trust J.J. McCarthy. As it sits right now, if we've got to go with the talent that they've got, he's not going to get them. I don't see that.
I agree. I think the Lions win the division the way it sits right now. And I think the Bears finish second. I think the Vikings finish third. And
even with J.J. McCarthy?
Fourth.
With McCarthy.
Yeah. The team's too talented, and Brian Flores is too good of a defensive coordinator for them not to win a couple games. Like I said, I could also see it where the Packers win the division this year, and the Bears once again finish fourth. I could see that as well.
Here's the keys to the Packers. Their tight ends are good. Kraft is going to have to step up and have a huge year.
Yes.
Because you're not going to have Watson. You've got Matthew Golden, who's a rookie that needs to play like a 5th-year veteran.
He does.
For them to do anything. Jaden Reed has to have come out of his mind. Romeo Dobbs, we don't know what he is anymore. I'm putting this on Goody because they could have had Devontae Adams, and I always said the Packers were in great shape to win the division. $23 million was nothing to pay for him, and he wanted to come to Green Bay. It was a mistake, and it was a disastrous mistake by a GM who just will not give up old grudges and won't look at anybody over 30.
I agree.
He's going to light it up in L.A.
Yeah, he is. Well, you let us know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, like, subscribe, so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it. Before we leave for the day, I wanted to play a little game with you.
Okay.
Called What's More Likely? Yes, I may have stole this from another show, but I think it would be fun. We'll change the name. No, we won't, because there's no other good name. We're just going to call it for what it is. I have 5 questions for you.
Okay.
Again, I'd like to know your opinion on this to see where you sit. Number 1, what's more likely? Giannis Antetokounmpo being traded from the Bucks or Aaron Rodgers retiring from football?
Giannis is much more likely to be traded, not because he wants to go to a winner. The Bucks don't necessarily want to trade them, but for the future of the team, they just don't have the talent right now.
I would love Giannis to stay in Milwaukee for his entire career. I still think that is a possibility.
I do too.
It's Giannis's call if he wants to stay in Milwaukee. He said he wants to win his 2nd championship. The Bucks have been trying.
They have.
Everything they can do, they're trying.
Dame Lillard is out all of next season.
Yep.
So what do you have?
Well, we don't know that for sure, but
he's going to be out the majority of it.
Most likely.
So, and when he comes back, he's going to be rusty. He's not going to be there. He's out for the season.
I think the worst thing the Bucks did in this situation was Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers took a 30-14 team and turned them into a 500 team.
Look,
and has not been a good coach.
We talked about this several episodes ago. The biggest mistake the Bucks made was firing Budenholzer.
People would argue because he's been fired in Phoenix now, but I think that situation has more to do with an aging Kevin Durant than anything else.
He had a great relationship with Giannis.
Yeah.
The Bucks failed Budenholzer because, again, we talked about this, but his brother died.
Right.
And they didn't tell him, go home.
Right.
And we'll put an interim in for this playoff season. You have to go in mourning. And he was hurting.
Yeah. And then Giannis got hurt in the first game, and it just killed the Bucks. You couldn't run it back. You had to make moves. You should have traded Chris Middleton instead of Drew Holiday. That was a big mistake. They're trying, but I think the writing's on the wall that Giannis is going. I think it's definitely more likely that Giannis gets traded than Rodgers retires. The second one, and this one is interesting, Jordan Love throws 40 touchdowns this year for the Green Bay Packers, or the Colorado Rockies win 40 games.
The Rockies are going to go on a mini winning streak at
They're
some
on
point.
pace to win 27 games this year.
I get it.
We are a quarter through the season, more than a quarter through the season.
They are what the owner of the Cleveland Indians in Major League wanted her team to be. Nobody's showing up. A team that can't win or fight themselves out of a paper bag. It is much more likely that Jordan Love throws 40 touchdowns than them winning 40 games.
I think it's more likely that Jordan Love throws 30 touchdowns than it is the Rockies winning 30 games at this point.
The Rockies will turn it around at some point. They're going to end up with they may be below the Boston Braves line of 35, but they'll get over 30.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. This is a bad team.
A very bad team.
And the one high-priced talent you have in Chris Bryant has played in 8 games so far this year.
Oh,
and I think he's played maybe 11 games, but either way, he's hitting 167.
I thought you didn't have any high-priced talent on this team.
Who, Bryant? We don't. He's just high-priced. And I feel bad saying it. I love Chris Bryant. He was the MVP of our World Series team. That back injury just killed him, man. It really did. He has not come back from that. All right, this is a fun one. What's more likely, 50 Pope outfits at Sox games or Sox win 50 games? We've seen quite a few.
I was going to say, I think they've already had 50 Pope outfits. By the way, I sent you a picture of one of them. They're really good looking.
I told my children that they are not allowed to be Sox fans, even though the Pope is a Sox fan. I won't allow it.
Good luck with that.
It won't happen. They both admitted to being Cubs fans the other day, which I'm very excited about.
Your oldest son really liked the Pope outfit.
He really enjoyed. I liked the Pope outfit.
It was very cool.
It was awesome.
It is. I mean, the Sox logo is fantastic.
It is. Their uniforms are great. The logo's great.
They just have an awful team.
It's a really bad team.
And they could win 50.
I think it's more likely that the Sox win 50 games. The Pope thing seems to be dying down a little bit. And honestly, the more the Sox suck, the less people are going to show up. I think it's more likely the Sox win 50 games this year.
I think this may put them with the Pope there. It may put them in position to get in a stadium.
It might.
That's the only thing that's going to save them at this point.
Hey, they have the Holy Father on their side at this point. All right, what's more likely? Caleb Williams gets the Bears to the playoffs, or Jordan Love takes the Packers to the NFC Championship in 2025?
Well, considering the conversation we just had a minute ago, Caleb Williams getting into the playoffs.
This year?
This year. He'll get them to the playoffs.
I think it's more likely that Jordan Love takes the Packers to the NFC Championship.
Ben Johnson's too good of a coach. They're going to win. They will win 10 games this year.
If the Packers have, again, on paper, the Packers should be a good team this year. You have Josh Jacobs. You have Jordan Love, who's feeling better after the injury. You have a wide receiver, we think.
As I said, Jordan Love has to play like he did.
And you have a defense. He does, but it depends on Jair Alexander, too. Is he actually going to play? He's not leaving Green Bay.
Well, I think his agent has had to come to Jesus with him and said, look, kid, you've got to prove that you're going to play 17 games or at least 15 or 16. Otherwise, no other team wants you.
Right.
So prove it where you are.
And that's, if we can get that type of Jair Alexander, he is one of the top corners in the game.
Yes.
He just hasn't been available on the field. With our defensive line, it really should be better. It would have been even better if, they didn't rig the pick in Green Bay and Jack Sawyer would have come to the Packers, but they decided to rig the pick. So we got the kid from Texas. Hopefully he'll be as good, but Jack Sawyer is going to be a rock star. And once again, the Packers miss out because they rigged it. And that's why Jack Sawyer is not on our team. But on paper, again, we should have a good team.
A homer.
And so I'm going to go with Jordan Love. Is it a homer pick? 100%. But I refuse to say the Bears are going to be any good. All right, a last one, and I did this just for you. out of pure love, what's more likely? Pete Rose gets in the Hall of Fame before 2030, or Barry Bonds gets in the Hall of Fame before 2030?
Neither one of the cheaters should belong
You have to
in
pick
the
one.
Hall of Fame. But
What's more likely?
Now that the commissioner has made the stupid decision of reinstating Pete Rose, the ban was for the lifetime of baseball, not of Pete Rose.
That was not stipulated in the
It
contract.
should have been.
It just said lifetime ban.
Pete Rose should still be banned.
Okay, what's more likely?
Rose gets in.
Do you think the veterans, this has got to be Veterans Committee now, right? Do you think the Veterans Committee will honestly vote in Pete Rose? I think they're more likely, because I think Barry Bonds is getting to be Veterans Committee soon now.
He will be.
If he's not, he will be in the next 5 years. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't think the Veterans Committee, as it sits now or in the next few years when you're going to have guys like Robin Yount, George Brett, all those guys, I don't think they let Bonds in, but there's enough softness for the play on the field of Pete Rose. There's enough guys there who'll say, fine, put him in. But it will be on his plaque that he was banned for life for betting on baseball.
No, it won't.
I do think that'll be on the plaque.
It definitely won't.
It should be on the plaque. It has to be on the
You can't
plaque.
put that in there because that taints the Hall of Fame at that point. We put a guy in the Hall of Fame who's banned for life for betting on baseball.
Yes, it should be. But it's part of Rose's story. You have to put it in there the same way you have to put it in there if you put Joe Jackson in, which I also think he will get in.
I don't think he should be.
I don't think either one of them should be.
Because as much as Field of Dreams painted him to be this innocent, dumb guy, he had 2 games where he batted below 200, and it was the 2 most important games that they had to win.
They had to win, and so
you don't go from batting, because his batting average for the series was 375. I thought it was 345.
No,
375, which means he was batting above 400 in the other games. You don't go from batting above 400 to batting below 200 in 2 games.
And I love they have painted him as this dumb hick that didn't know what was going on. I think he was smarter than people.
Guy was illiterate. Just because he was illiterate doesn't mean he was stupid.
Doesn't mean he was stupid.
He just wasn't taught when he was a kid to read or write. And then as he was older, it just wasn't as important in that time to know that there were a lot of illiterate people during that time period.
There were. I mean, that was back in the early 1900s, 19 teens, 20s. There were a lot of people that didn't get through a lot of school.
Right. And he's a baseball player. His wife did it all for him. He married a very intelligent woman, or at least a woman that could read and write.
Yes. And
there's a lot of people I know that can read and write that are not that smart.
I always come back to Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, who was also illiterate.
Yeah.
And he made a mega fast food chain. Helped a lot of people, by the way.
Shoeless Joe is smarter than people think.
I think so.
And I think he did throw the World Series with the rest of his team. Not that I necessarily blame the White Sox for what they did. Comiskey was a disgusting human being who brought that onto himself. It had nothing to do with baseball, had everything to do with Comiskey.
Yes, he was cheap.
They still shouldn't be allowed in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I actually think, it's more likely. I think Pete Rose gets in this upcoming season.
I hope not.
But I do think Barry Bonds gets in very soon as well.
I don't think he gets in this year.
I do.
I don't. I think it's going to take him a year for it just kind of go away, and then they'll put him in the next year.
It's up to the Veterans Committee. It really is. But I think the steroid era is also softening.
Oh.
And you're going to start to see a lot more people, especially as the veterans from the 90s start to come in. You're going to start seeing a lot of those guys be put in the Hall of Fame.
Don't belong. Ever.
The only player I want to see truly from the steroid era put in the Hall of Fame, because he should be, he's the greatest shortstop of all time, is Alex Rodriguez.
He is.
He's the greatest shortstop of all time.
Number one, if he wouldn't have played for somebody of lesser talent and lesser integrity who would have moved from shortstop to third base to let Rodriguez play shortstop, he was, in fact, the greatest shortstop that ever played the game.
Yankees fans don't have to agree with this. The greatest third baseman on their team was playing third base.
No, the greatest shortstop was playing third base.
Yes, the greatest shortstop on their team was playing third base. Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter couldn't wear defensively Alex Rodriguez's cleats.
No. And Alex was a better hitter. You know how I feel about Honus Wagner. I think he's one of the greatest players of all time. Alex Rodriguez was a better shortstop than Honus Wagner.
And it was a different era. The balls came a lot faster. You had to react a lot faster. Nothing against Honus Wagner. I know you get mad at me about the dead ball era, but that ball, especially later in games, coming off the bat, came off a lot slower.
Yes, but you still had to play the game, and they still throw in the 90s and 100 miles an hour against some of them. But plus during that era, you could put tobacco juice on the ball, you could stick them, you could do whatever. Spitball was legal. Honus Wagner, from all historians, was a great shortstop. Greatest player of all time in some people's mind, but it's not. It's Babe Ruth, obviously.
Shohei Ohtani.
Another couple years, he will be. I was watching a Tim Kurkjian video. He's doing a whole thing about the greatest player for every number from Ozzie Smith to Oral Hershiser, which is number 55. They got to 17. And even though he hasn't played that long, he put Ohtani in there. I do too.
Yeah.
Because there's
name another person who's 17.
There's no competition. I mean, there really isn't. But
there are no other 17s. Who did they put at 19? Was Robin Yount?
No, it hasn't come up yet. It'll be the next number up. So I'm watching to see it.
Who was 18?
Can't remember what he said. It was that not a lot of players that worn 18 that were spectacular. Robin Yount should be 19, but I want to see what Kurkjian has to say.
You told me Ron Santo wasn't the best number 10 of all time, and I quit caring.
Yes, I know. We will see.
So upset. You and I have had a great show, but as we all know, you cannot have a conversation with your father without your dad getting the last word. So it is all you.
I said earlier in the show that it was way too early to talk football. Honestly, it's not. Football is becoming an all year round sport. We're coming into the time training camp opens up in 35, 40 days, whatever it's going to be. Everybody's getting excited for football. Baseball, take notice, because expanding at this time when your talent isn't leading up, when you've got two of the worst teams of all time, take a lesson from football. Make your sport stronger before you ever talk about expanding. And let's get to football, because I can't wait for the season to start.
Thank you, as always, so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.